Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. The news of the bosom friendship turned sour between dancehall superstars Buju Banton and Wayne Wonder is, in my opinion, just one of the saddest stories to emanate from the reggae scene in recent times. Since that pair met in 1991, they seemed like the yardstick of unity and friendship in the treacherous world of music business. But in recent times, Wayne Wonder revealed that he and his old friend Gargamel had drifted apart and that their relationship was more or less done. Now, it's not unusual to hear that people grow apart over time. But when I did some digging about what really transpired between both guys years ago, I uncovered an almost 30-year-old rift in the making. A parting of ways that has its roots from those early days when both men were just boys at Penthouse Records, and the record label politics that would drive them apart by the time they became men. Let's take a look at the true origins of Buju Banton and Wayne Wonder's fallout. Now, this story begins with Wayne Wonder. He was born Von Wayne Charles in Portland, Jamaica in 1972 and started singing in church as a young boy, thanks to his mother, who was a very serious member of the choir in her church. His family moved to Kingston, where he would get exposed to the vibrant sound system scene and neighborhood dances that would inspire him to start writing his own music by the time he was just 12 years old. Young Wayne's talent got noticed by popular sound system Metro Media that gave him a weekly slot to perform as an in-house DJ and singer. And at that young age, he began to audition for various producers, including Sly Dunbar, who was impressed by his talents, but unfortunately was too busy touring with Black Uhuru to sign him up. But despite these setbacks, he was already a rising star on the sound system scene and kept on grinding until a chance meeting with an old friend would signal his breakthrough. After releasing his first album titled One More Chance in 1989, his producer Lloyd Dennis moved to the UK, leaving him in search of a new production team. Someone had told him about a new studio and label called Penthouse that had just been opened by a producer called Donovan Jermaine. And when he got there, he came face to face with a childhood friend and elementary schoolmate called Dave Kelly, who was the in-house producer stroke studio engineer over there. The pair would click immediately, and combined with Penthouse Records' awesome equipment and environment, Wayne Wonder began to crank out hit singles like Sweetest Girl, Fast Car, and Anything For You. His powerful start with the label impressed Donovan Jermaine and moved that producer to start working closer with him, and Wayne Wonder became the first artist to come under the management of Penthouse Records. And his arrival would mark the beginning of that label's dominance of the dancehall and reggae scene in Jamaica for the next decade, as he would soon after sign new cats like Cutty Ranks and Tony Rebel, as well as legends and veterans like Marshall Griffiths and Beres Hammond. But the label's biggest star would soon arrive, courtesy of Wayne Wonder himself. A year later, a teenage DJ called Buju Banton was tearing up the sound system scene with his underground smash hit Stamina Daddy. A young intern sound engineer at Penthouse Records couldn't stop talking about Buju and would eventually bring him to Wayne Wonder's attention. So Wayne became a fan of Buju's music, and as fate would have it, a meeting between both of them would change Buju's life forever. One Friday night, Wayne Wonder attended a dance in Clarendon which had been organized by Winston Riley of Techniques Records, the producer of Stamina Daddy. Buju also happened to be performing that same night and totally mashed up the place big time. And Wayne Wonder was so impressed that he began to link up with Buju regularly and would pick Buju up every day in his car and took him to Penthouse Records to write and record songs. It was said that at the beginning, Donovan Jermaine wasn't interested in Buju Banton because he thought he sounded too much like Shabba Ranks. But Wayne Wonder and Dave Kelly would keep pushing and encouraging Buju, and Wayne Wonder in particular is credited with launching Buju into the limelight when he, as an already established star in Jamaica, brought Buju up on stage at the 1991 edition of the Sting Festival. That night, Buju would put on an incredible show, becoming an overnight sensation in Jamaica. And Donovan Jermaine would soon after sign Buju up on a record deal in 1992. Buju's first album for Penthouse, In Mr. Mention, would soon after hit the streets and became the biggest album in Jamaican history. He would end 1992 with an astonishing record of the most #1 songs in a single year. And 1993 would also be an explosive year for Buju, as his album, The Voice of Jamaica, would take his status international, with tracks like Deportees, that was written by Wayne Wonder, and Make My Day would go on steady rotation on global cable networks like MTV and BET, as well as DJ turntables around the world. Buju would emerge as one of the biggest artists out of Jamaica, and certainly the biggest star at Penthouse Records. And Wayne Wonder would contribute to that success by writing quite a few songs for him in that period. And these songs include Murderer, Deportees, Boom Bye Bye, and Operation Willie. And both guys would also crank out duets together that would become big hits like Heal the World, Hey Lorna, and What You Gonna Do. not to mention countless performances in Jamaica like Reggae Sun Splash and Sting, as well as countless shows overseas. But with Buju's stardom came quite a few challenges to the friendship, as Penthouse Records made it clear that Buju was not the #1 priority, and Wayne Wonder has even admitted in recent interviews that he was put under a lot of pressure to try and achieve the same level of success as his friend. It's important to note that Wayne Wonder wasn't the only person feeling the heat at the label. Cutty Ranks would clash and fall out with Donovan Jermaine over creative issues and, as alleged, tensions behind the scenes with Buju Banton. But the biggest test to that friendship would come when Penthouse's superstar in-house engineer and producer Dave Kelly would fall out with Donovan Jermaine over several issues, including royalties, and left that outfit to form his own label and studio called Penthouse. And as I said earlier, Dave Kelly and Wayne Wonder had a bond from childhood, as well as a wonderful chemistry in the studio. Wayne Wonder stayed neutral at first, but soon after would also move away from Penthouse and pitched his tent with Dave Kelly over at Madhouse, which soon began to produce big stars like Terra Fabulous and Baby Cham. So as the 90s progressed, Buju and Wayne's collaborations became fewer and further in between, as they were now in different camps. And Wayne was doing big things, but of course, nowhere near the level of Buju. And in 1999, Wayne Wonder would get a green card and moved over to the US. He launched his own label named Sing So and would release his album No Letting Go in 2003 under VP Records, an album that was a bona fide hit that really introduced him to international mainstream success. In 2009, Buju, by then, who had also moved to the US, was arrested for drug charges and put on trial. And while on bail, he threw a concert designed to raise money for his legal bills. And Wayne Wonder, alongside the likes of Sean Paul and Damian Marley, will perform at that show in support and solidarity of Buju. And Wayne Wonder will also show more support and attended several court dates with Buju up until his sentencing in 2010. Now on the surface, this looks like a tale of enduring friendship over almost 20 years. But very strangely, after Buju was released in 2018, enormous cracks would emerge in that relationship, and from all indications, it looks like Buju gave Wayne the cold shoulder. In an interview about a year ago, Wayne Wonder said that after Buju came out of jail, that he tried to reach out to him at first, but would later decide to allow him some space. Curious. But in early 2019, Wayne would get a call from none other than Donovan Jermaine, he and Buju's boss from their Penthouse days. Donovan had called to tell him that Buju was organizing a huge comeback concert called The Long Walk to Freedom and that he wanted Wayne to come and perform. And naturally, Wayne Wonder thought it really strange that the call hadn't come from Buju, especially as he was the one who brought Buju to Penthouse in the first place, and told Donovan to get Buju to call him directly. And eventually, Buju Banton would make that call, and Wayne Wonder would appear and perform at that show. And Wayne would confirm in that interview that he had made efforts to keep the friendship alive, but from all indications, that relationship was over. And so far, it's been Wayne Wonder talking, and Buju hasn't said a word about there being a rift between him and his old pal, leaving lots of room for people and fans like myself to draw their own conclusions about what really went wrong. I personally think that this drift began back at Penthouse Records. Plenty of reports have it that Wayne and Buju were supposed to become a duo in the mode of Shaka Demus and Pliers. But after Buju's breakout success, industry heavyweights convinced Buju Banton to remain a solo act, and this was said to have hurt Wayne Wonder a great deal, even though he didn't show it. And I also suspect very strongly that Wayne Wonder, splitting from Penthouse Records and leaning more to Dave Kelly's Madhouse, might have called Donovan Jermaine to get in Buju's ear and turn him against his old friend. I'm not laying all of this on Gargamel, but you've got to admit that if not for Wayne, he might have never been discovered by Penthouse Records or blown up the way he did. So if truly he's given his old but less successful pal attitude, now he's a big legend and superstar, then Buju is clearly in the wrong. Especially a friend who's been there for him at the most crucial points of his life. Anyway, that's just my opinion. And I truly hope that the pair can make up and reignite the amazing friendship that made them a model of unity and brotherhood 3 decades ago. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.